everyone and welcome back to more Fantasy Life I. In today's video, I'm going to show you the best meals in the entire game. So I have every single meal unlocked over here. There's a total of 103 of them, but of course not every single meal in this game is useful. These boiled eggs, for example, might be helpful in the beginning of the game, but this is not going to help you at all once you hit the end game. So you should know that you primarily use meals to get their additional effects, such as the plus magic attack that you get from the eggs over here, or the defense that you get from this fish, or the gathering bonus that you get from this pumpkin flan. So that's the main reason why you use meals in Fantasy Life I. And today I'm going to give you the best options for every single boost that they can give you. Let's start off by showing you the best magic attack boosting meals. I'm immediately going to tell you a couple of things, because over here this one will boost your magic attack by 150, but this meal is not easy to make. It requires boss crops and monster boss materials, as well as the top class mushroom, which is a treasure growth exclusive material. So meals like this I'm not even going to point out, because they're not going to be all that usable for you, because you'll most likely only be able to make like a couple of them, and in order to be a good meal it has to be something that you can keep making as much as you want. So it pretty much just needs materials that you can buy an infinite amount of. Another really important thing that I have to mention is that if you want to boost your attack, magic attack, defense, or magic defense, you're going to be way better off using potions over here. So the power 8 over here, for example, is going to give you a 20% attack boost, not just a flat 20 more attack, but an actual percentage based on your total amount. So that's going to be way better. Also, if you make this like top quality, I believe this gives you a 30% attack boost even. And it's going to be the same for the magic 8 over here, giving you 20% magic attack, the resistance 8 giving you 20% defense, and the sealing potion giving you 20% magic defense. So if you want to boost those 4 stats, you are, in my opinion, way better off just using potions. But if you really want to use some meals to boost those specific stats, I'm going to give you some great options. So the best option to boost your magic attack is going to be the giant fried egg over here, in my opinion. This is the meal that boosts your magic attack by the most, that also has replenishable materials that I've found. So you need a big egg, which you can buy at the restaurant on Swollen Island, and then the sugar nuts, salt, and black pepper are all purchasable from Marco's shop. So that makes this the best meal, unfortunately, to boost your magic attack, if you want to get an infinite amount of them, of course. You could also try the royal omelet, but if you want to make this one, you have to go over to the material shop in Lulab Forest, which that takes a bit longer than going over to just the Swollen Island restaurant. So that's why I don't recommend going for the royal omelet and just go for the giant fried egg instead. You should know that this is an exclusive request recipe, so if you don't have all of those yet, check out my video on request recipes, or just the exclusive islander and villager recipes in general. Then before moving over to the best attack boosting meals in the game, I quickly do want to mention that you can also do improv cooking. So basically the best and probably only feasible way that you could actually get 99 of these best meals over here is by doing the pro improv cooking. You unlock the first improv cooking over here on the skill board, and if you want to get the pro version, you need to go 2 skill points further to unlock it. So not really that expensive in skill points. I don't know if you have to be like an adept or expert cook to get this, but yeah, if you want to do some improv cooking, you will need the Eureka Essence, which you can buy a limited amount of every day at Marco's shop, and you can also get this just by beating, I believe, a variety of just the bosses in the game. But let's say you make like 40 of these, which is going to cost you 120 Eureka Essences. If you make that top quality, I think you should get like a max of 99. So just like that, we made it perfectly. Now let's find out which meal we actually made. Unfortunately, we just made 100 sneaky suppers. That is a meal that has replenishable ingredients, meaning that this was definitely just a waste of Eureka Essence. But you can potentially get any recipe that is between the level 3 and level 5. So you could, for example, get 99 of these special omelets over here if you get lucky. So I do want to point that out. If you want to test out your luck, go for some insanely good recipes. You might want to try your shot at some pro improv cooking. So the best meal in the game that I found to boost your attack is the juicy mutton. Is that how you pronounce that word? It's not mouton, is it? Anyways, you need the meat, sugar nuts, salt, and red peppercorns, all materials that you can buy in Marco's shop. So this is the best meal to boost your attack that you can make with replenishable materials. If you wanted to, you could make the roast of legend over here, which boosted by 150 attack. But taking a look at these ingredients over here already takes away my appetite. If you want to boost your attack, just go ahead and make yourself some power 8s, please. By the way, the juicy mouton is a recipe that you need to unlock over here in Toys Town. So over here in the settlement, there's going to be one tool shop, and as soon as you hit an area rank of 4 in the Fangshore Isles, you will unlock the ability to purchase the juicy mouton recipe recipe from that tool shop plushling, then the best meal in the game to boost your defense is actually going to be the Sneaky Supper. This is also a very good meal to actually get some cooking experience. So yeah, this one boosts your defense by 100 for 30 seconds, and you need sneaky tuna and sneak fish, which you can buy at the restaurant over at the Tropica Isles, and then the faraway rice and the sugar nuts you can buy at Marco's shop. So yeah, definitely a really good meal that you can just keep making over and over again. By the way, you unlock this by becoming an expert cook. Unfortunately, the Aquapazza, which boosts your defense by 150, has the hot spring bream as one of its materials, and as far as I know, you cannot get this anywhere in like an infinite amount. But if it weren't for this stupid hot fish, this would actually be the best meal to boost your defense. This is, by the way, another exclusive request recipe, but yeah, don't really bother with this one. Just go for the Sneaky Suppers, which, by the way, the defense boost that you get over here should apply to the normal and magic defense. There are no meals over here that actually boost magic defense. There's only the ones that boost defense, and as you can see, there's like a little shield and a magic orb above it. So I do believe this boosts your normal and your magic defense in one, so that at least is kind of nice. Still though, you'd be better off using one resistance 8 and one sealing potion, because those can stack and they'll do much more for you. Up next, we have the best meal to boost your combat power, which I am not 100% certain what combat power actually does. I believe it boosts your normal and magic attack in one, but I'm not entirely convinced about that. If you are 100% certain about what combat power actually does, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, the creamy curry over here is going to be the best meal. You need star apples and island bananas, which can be bought at the restaurant over at the Tropica Isles. Same with the Tropica Deep Seawater over here, and then the curry spices and faraway rice you can just buy over at Marco's shop. This is unfortunately a house exclusive recipe for the Cook Life. If you don't know what that is, check out my house recipe exclusive video. There are a bunch of meal recipes that you can only get that way, the creamy curry over here being one of them. And I do want to give an honorable mention to the winter stew over here, which, if it weren't for the crimson carrot and bushy potato, this would actually be a really good meal for boosting your combat power as well, boosting it by 100 even. And I do have a feeling that maybe in a future update we might be able to buy those materials in an infinite amount. So if it comes to that point, there's going to be a lot of meals that are going to get a lot better. Unfortunately for now, you should just stick with the creamy curry if you have the recipe. So up until now, we have covered meals that are easily replaceable by potions, but the last two stats that we're going to cover can only be boosted through meals. First up, we're going to cover the gathering boost, which is going to make it easier to just gather stuff in general. There are two recipes over here that give the same bonus, both giving 150 plus gathering, and they also both have a replenishable materials. The magical milkshake over here is a recipe that you unlock by becoming a master rank cook, and the fruit punch is going to be another one of those request exclusive recipes. So if you don't have the fruit punch recipe yet, but you do have the magical milkshake and you really want to boost your gathering right away, you should probably just go for the magical milkshakes. But if you do have the fruit punch recipe, I actually really prefer this one. That is because you cannot hold more than 99 of all of these ingredients, meaning that you are able to make more fruit punches with the same materials. And also, if you want to boost your cooking EXP, the fruit punch is literally the best recipe in the game to do that. You get more than 5 million cooking EXP if you have the right equipment on by just making 99 of these. I recently made a video about it, so that is why I prefer the fruit punch. Also, all of the materials can be bought at Marco's shop, but if you want to go for the magical milkshake, you can buy the watermelon, kiwi, and strawberries at Marco's shop. And for the dark honey, you'll have to go over to the restaurant in the Tropica Isles, and the uber rich milk you can find in the restaurant in Swollen Island. So that is pretty much it. You shouldn't really look at the fruit punch only recovering like 140 SP and the magical milkshake recovering 20 more, because you should really just have crafting buddies with you whenever you're out gathering, and that way you will never run out of SP. You're basically, as I said in the beginning of this video, just using meals for their additional effects and not really for their HP and SP restoring purposes. And then the final important stat that we're gonna cover is plus crafting. This is actually really helpful in my opinion if you just start out a new life, or you're trying to make the best armor pieces, tools, or weapons in the game, but you're just barely short of making them top quality. Consuming these meals is probably gonna get you there. So the smoothie over here gives plus 100 crafting, and it of course has replenishable materials. As we covered before, you can get the star apple and the island banana in the restaurant over at Tropica Isles, and then the crave strawberries, cherry, and trial cave dew can all be bought at Marco's shop. So a pretty nice meal. I even have it favorited over here. If you make it top quality, you can get 150 250 crafting even, which by the way, if you make a fruit punch of top quality, you can get plus 200 gathering. Every stat that I mentioned so far is the base amount, so if you get a top quality produce, you are going to get more stats than the base value would give you. The smoothie is also a very easy recipe to get. You just need to become an expert rank as a cook, and that is pretty much it for all of the stats that can be boosted in Fantasy Life I. But I do want to talk about one more meal over here, and that's going to be the Legendary Feast, which if you want to get that recipe, it's going to be one of the legendary recipes located in Gynomosia. The Legendary Feast should be located all the way in the back of the Nostril Cave over at Drake's Snout Range. So if you enter this cave, just make your way all the way to the back, and I think over here is where the Legendary Feast recipe is located. So to be honest, not really that difficult of a recipe to receive. You can pretty much get this as soon as you get access to Gynomosia, and its effects are not that bad in my opinion. You will get reduced damage by 30% for 30 seconds, and you're going to be immune to stagger for 10 seconds. So that basically means that you cannot get knocked back. Sometimes when a boss does an attack on you, you get like staggered or knocked back. If you consume this meal, that will not happen for 10 seconds. And also that just flat 30% damage reduction is pretty nice. I do want to say though that you probably get around the same effect if you make a top quality resistance 8, and the Daredevil 8 over here also makes you immune to stagger for 15 seconds even. You do need glittering coral, which is a treasure growth exclusive material, but it's going to be way easier getting that than getting all of these materials over here. So to start, you need 3 legendary materials: the legendary Dawn Meat, legendary King Spot, and legendary Rocket Fish. So yeah, these legendary recipes are not that bad to get, but it is going to be a little bit of a grind. And then the faintly glowing leaf is one of the boss crop drops. Never something fun to go for, and the Snapdragon Stew drop is just going to be a drop from the Snapdragon. Not that bad, but definitely not something you can get all that easily. So is it worth going through all of that effort to make this meal? Absolutely not. It is, however, pretty fun to make it at least once, so that's what I'm gonna do. It is literally the most difficult meal to make in the game. If we sort by crafting stat over here, you need 1250 cooking stats. Actually, not that much more than the high-flying ramen over here requires. But yeah, let's go ahead and make this meal. I want to make at least one of every single thing in this game anyways. So yeah, just like that, made it top quality. Of course, I am a level 100 cook. It would be pretty shameful for this master chef not to make the Legendary Feast in top quality. So yeah, pretty cool. Only 121,000 experience. That is not much at all. So let's consume one of these Legendary Feast pluses, which actually changes the bonuses it gives you. Right now, this grants invincibility for 10 seconds. That is actually pretty cool. Let's eat one of those. It is only 10 seconds, unfortunately. I wish it would have been like a minute, but yeah. If this thing attacks us right now, it literally does no damage. We cannot get staggered. So that feels pretty cool. It's like the god thing that you could do as a mercenary, I believe, in like the old Fantasy Life game, where you just couldn't take any damage, you couldn't get staggered. Oh, right now though, I'm already dead. Okay, so yeah, even though it did feel pretty cool to be literally invincible, it only lasts for 10 seconds, and that is kind of painful when you think about all the materials you just spent on making that meal. So with that, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what your favorite meal in the game is, and as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, definitely don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Not even 5% of the people watching my videos are actually subscribed, so I would appreciate it a lot if you would do so. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, later. Bye.